screenwriter, director, producer showing us a lot of scenes from things that hadn't even come out yet. And he had people come up and read lines from the scenes just before I was done. That was really fun. And we had a jazz combo here. We had 3 people here doing live jazz music. Then we had Brunson Willis here, who is actually an old friend of Kat's. And he's our artist in residence now. And that was just images everywhere, and that was kind of wild and crazy. And then we had Carol V. Davis, our wonderful poet, and she came out tonight. And then I was always waiting in the wings, like I knew that if someone couldn't make it, that I would just jump in last minute, and then that happened. And I was in June, and then we had a stand-up comic last time. So we were trying to cover all the arts, and we're trying to cover different ages and stages and everything, so that sometimes you're hearing from the old masters and sometimes you're hearing from people who are just figuring it out. And so it's been a really fun journey. So my story of Kat is this. Some of you know I was gone from this church for a little while, and while I was gone, things got much more colorful because this mural was done. I didn't know who did the mural, I didn't know her name, but separately from this, I had been following Kat on Instagram because I loved her work. And I kept thinking, I'd love to be able to invite her, but she's just like too big now. She's just too cool. I'm just not going to be able to do it. And I would drive home from church, I would see her name on murals, and I'm like, and I literally on my whiteboard, I had her name written down, like, get up my courage. Get up my courage, and I'm just going to ask her. But I hadn't asked her yet. And then the night that we were together, the day before Runson did his, we were loading stuff in, and he goes out on the playground, and he goes, "Oh, that's my friend Kat's work." And I said, "Really? You know?" "Oh, yeah, we're good friends." I was like, "Okay." So I said, "I'm here with your good friend, Brunson. I'm here, and we're just wondering." And she's like, "That would be fantastic." And I went ahead and we locked down a date that night because I didn't want it all to fall apart, or like 2 weeks later she wouldn't remember who I was. We got it all done, and I've been just counting down since then. So excited. We finally got to meet in person a couple of weeks ago. We've been talking about her talk and what are the best things she can include and all that kind of stuff. And I went near her house and we met at a wonderful, what kind of a sandwich place was it? What's it? It's French? She's French. She said, "Meet me at this place." And I'm like, "Let me buy you lunch." She goes, "No, you can be, let me buy you lunch." And then the man who was making the food, the wonderful chef there, just said, "I would buy you both lunch." And so grace abounded from the very beginning. Anyhow, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of the way, I'm going to go get a seat, and I'm going to let Kat come up. This was a really neat opportunity, I think, for her to be able to start to put her story of her life, her influences, and now what she's doing moving forward, and how you go from having a big vision, like, I think I want to paint something on that large building, and how you make that happen. So I'm really excited. Please welcome to the Chandelier stage, Katbing.
Thanks, Heather. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. This has been really good to like compile evidence of what I've done and stuff, and get it all together. And I was a little stressed out about it, but then I was like, I'm just gonna make it real fun. So I made it fun, and I learned how to use PowerPoint, and like the program just does it for you. It's crazy with the AI and stuff. You know what I mean? So I was like, that's great. It just did it. So I'm gonna just go. I'm just gonna go. I'm Katbing. You can call me Kat. This is me, Katbing. Me. Sorry, I didn't realize how high def it was gonna be. So that's a lot. Okay. So I do murals. I'm from here, from LA, specifically the east side, San Gabriel Valley, and more specifically San Dimas, off the 10-210-57 by Raging Waters. Okay. So that's where I'm from. And this is a presentation giving you just a small glimpse into what I do and how I got here and what I'm planning to do for the future. And me. 2014. It's my favorite thing to do. This one is at La Colombe in Silver Lake. It's on Sunset and Hyperion. I really like to use bright and vibrant colors, and I love to make designs kind of like fit cleverly into the wall and just really use the space. So this is like a very busy corner of Sunset, so I wanted it to pop and to be very bold and big, so passing traffic could see it all in like one glimpse, you know, and see what they're looking at, and then pedestrians can walk by and appreciate it from near or far. And then this is the LGBT Center in Long Beach. I painted this last year for Long Beach Walls, which is a festival where artists come every year and they paint walls all over the city in Long Beach. And for this design, I got to coordinate with like the director of the center, and her only kind of the only thing that the only thing that she had in mind was I wanted to be fun and bright and gay. And I'm like, no problem. I can totally do that. So there's like a lot of, I was gonna bring like a stick to like, I just remembered. So as you can see, there's a lot of rainbows and gayness. And there's the trans flag colors, and this is the non-binary flag colors, so it's representing all of our communities. And yeah, this was one of my favorite ones to do. And I wanted it to look really welcoming and like a celebration and kind of musical in a way. These pillars also, I was like, let's do something with those. So I'm like, when in doubt, paint it. Like, paint it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then this is in Paris. I did this last year with it's a collaboration with artist Katbing, who's French, and it was coordinated and funded by the cities of LA and Paris and an organization called Hypernear. There was like an artist call in Los Angeles for like a local LA artist, and I applied, and there were about 40 other applicants, and we all submitted proposals, and I got to do it. And we did it. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I got to do this, and it was really fun. And the figures are kind of mixed and matched. Kegley's design, since it's a collaboration, like the hands, the skateboard, and the baseball, that's Kegley. And then all the smiley face ones are mine. So we kind of like, I think it worked pretty well. We kind of have like a lot of smiles in our work. And it went well, and we hit it off. He's like family now. We're basically brothers. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm just gonna show you a clip. I also got to hire my sister on board for this project, which is really cool. They're like, you need to hire a videographer to document this so that when you come back to LA, you could show the process to everybody, and we could screen it at the center in West Hollywood. So I got to hire my sister, and it was the coolest project that we got to work on, and just like being around her was really fun because she's really good at what she does. So I'm just gonna show you this clip. I think it's like 2 minutes.
I think at the end of the day, we'll be able to look up at it and be like, okay, we gotta fix that and that, you know, and then we can do details. So.
Doing a mural. Step 1, priming the wall and sealing it.
Après, on a réalisé ce qu'on appelle une double grid. Donc, c'est un système de maillage pour créer des points de repère.
The doodle grid is basically you put a bunch of shapes on the wall, and then you take a picture of the wall with all the doodles on it, and then you superimpose the design onto the wall in Photoshop or Illustrator. You make the design transparent a little bit, so you can see through it and you can see the doodles.
Et ça nous donne plein de points de repère en fait.
It's such a clever way to to do it.
So
And
feedback.
then do the outlines.
It's the most important part because when your line is nice, it's okay. After it just I don't know, like coloring, it's okay. But the line are very important.
Et donc après on sketch, donc on redessine en fait le visuel donc en taille réelle. On est collé les murs, donc on a notre double grille pour nous aider, mais donc c'est quand même un tâche particulier. Et après ça déroule, une fois qu'on a tout notre croquis, on ajuste pour qu'il soit bien dessiné, et après on passe au remplissage, et là il y a vraiment beaucoup d'étapes en fait. Remplissage, tracé, on revient plusieurs fois pour corriger les choses. Enfin, c'est un boulot un peu, on va dire, laborieux en fait, c'est un vrai labeur. Ouais. Et il va y avoir plusieurs couches de peinture, plusieurs phases de correction, et jusqu'à arriver au visuel parfait.
Cool. Yeah. So my sister did that, and there's a whole, I think it's like a 36-minute documentary that I can share the link with you guys. It's on YouTube. But we're also going to present that to our old high school where we went to high school. Our art teacher was like, "Can you screen that at San Dimas High School?" So we're doing that in September, which should be fun. Yeah, so this was the tallest mural I've done. It's 9 stories. Yeah, the doodle grid helped a lot because usually I'm using like a projector or kind of improvising, but this is like a little too big to really improvise, And we had to get it just right because it's like funded by these cities and it's like representing the Olympics kind of, and like we gotta get it right. So the doodle grid helped a lot. It was my first time doing it, and I use it all the time now, which is awesome. This is probably my favorite mural. I did that last year in Louisville, Kentucky, for $2 Invitational. It's another mural festival with street artists from all over the country. And lately I've been messing around more with backgrounds and shapes and different colors. And mural festivals are actually like a really good opportunity to do that and like experiment with your style because they offer a lot of creative freedom, which is awesome. So I wanted it to be interesting and colorful, so if you're standing like a foot away from the wall or a block away, it's still kind of pretty interesting and colorful, and it pops. With the figures moving through the wall to fit it in a way with the windows and the shape of the building won't interfere with like the main focal points. And that's kind of why this figure's upside down. It's like there's windows up there and it just like it looks cool, but it just made the most sense, you know what I mean? And that's why it's like that. And there's like that happy face in the corner. Because I'm doing it like on Photoshop and I'm just like, what's gonna work? And so you don't even notice that there's windows really, kind of. Yeah. Maybe, so anyways. Okay. And then you might have seen this. Yeah, it's right there. We did this in 2019. It was one of my first big murals, and I got the help of the church and community volunteers to help. And we did it in about 6 days. And then we got to have a basketball tournament on the day of its reveal. And I think we're going to be able to paint it again.
Yes.
We're going to fill those cracks, and we're going to make it bright and shiny again, which will be really fun. I haven't gotten to paint like a basketball court since, and I've been trying because I really want to. So I have some designs up my sleeve for you, just right off the bat, no problem. But we'll make it specific to this wonderful place too. So, but yeah, that was really fun. Let's see. First big mural. So when I talk to people about doing murals, I mostly get questions about like the logistics, like how does this work? How did I get started painting big walls? Who let you paint their wall? How much did they pay you? How did you get up there? So I wanted to add this to the presentation because this is stuff I wondered too when I was trying to figure this whole thing out. So I painted this in 2019, right before the basketball court, maybe a couple months before. And it's in East Hollywood on Melrose and Kingsley. And I used a really simple design with like a minimal amount of colors. It's like 3 colors. It is 3 colors. And this wall has a habit of getting graffitied and tagged a lot, so like the more minimal the better, so it's easy for people to go over it when it does get tagged. And it, let's see, before it had an existing mural on it, but it had been defaced and kind of burned, so it wasn't too difficult to convince the store owners to repaint it. And I was also offering to do it essentially for free. So, because I wanted to do a big wall, and I needed to do it. So, this was the proposal that I gave them. I like printed it out, and I also gave them a hard copy of my portfolio with like samples of smaller murals that I had done. And then I was like, I'll do your signage also, the dollar store signage, which was like an added bonus. And they're like, cool. And they really appreciated it. And I was like, this is great. So once the owner approved it, I quickly discovered that just having a ladder wasn't gonna cut it. So I needed to rent a scissor lift, which I had never done. And that was gonna be the biggest expense. And in 2019, it was $500 to do it. Today, it's like $1,000 to rent a scissor lift for a week. But back then, it was $500. So we raised that on GoFundMe, just like by spreading the word on social media. And there's a scissor lift, $500 per week, and that's kind of like a process shot. The lift company came and dropped it off. You didn't need a license. I was really surprised about those things. Like, they just handed me the keys and were like, seriously. And then, so I did like a YouTube tutorial on like how to ride it. And I figured it out. And then I had a parking lot across the street so I could store the thing and charge it overnight. And it was kind of a good little situation to have it. And that's how I learned how to drive that. And sometimes people, sometimes a festival, they'll hook you up with everything you need, like the equipment and everything, but sometimes you gotta rent it yourself, so it's good to know who to call and who's got a good price for you. And then we also made it a community mural, so I put flyers around the neighborhood so that kids could put their hands on the walls and kind of get involved. It was also kind of a play on maybe it not getting tagged too much, because if you tag over a community mural, you're kind of a dick, you know what I mean? So it kind of worked. It gets tagged a lot, but I think it worked kind of a lot. But the good thing is I happen to live across the street from this mural, so I cover it really fast, and over the years, this is it present day, and I've gone to add some little fun frills to it. When I'm covering the stuff, just add a little fun pizzazz to it. I like it, don't you? Early life. I just wanted to this picture of me where I look really cute. Yeah. So yeah, that's me, and that's Susan. Susan's right there. Doesn't she look like a really, really cute newscaster from the 80s?
Yeah.
I think so. So I'm the gay one, and that's my sister Barb. She's my twin. We grew up together as twins. I still dress the same, which is cool. And influences, images that I saw were weird because it's the 90s and cartoons were weird and kind of grotesque and absurd, And I liked that. And Brian and my art style. I also really loved skateboard art, and I tried to skateboard growing up, and I was okay, but the art, the skate graphics, and the stickers and the t-shirts were what drew me in to skateboarding and just kind of this culture of it. Also comic books, Calvin and Hobbes. And I didn't know at the time, but Ed Templeton, he's a famous skateboarder, this guy, and he illustrated a lot of these graphics for Toy Machine, the skateboard company, and I learned that later on, that he did that, and he's very good, so he has had a big influence. Also, when I was around like 18, I got more into Ralph Steadman, who did the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas artwork, and I loved his like bloody ink designs and kind of dark humor. It always, I don't know, it just drew me in, and you could tell he's a funny guy. It says on this, don't draw, Ralph, it's a filthy habit. And it's a self-portrait. And then Keith Haring, of course, got me into graphic design more, and like saying a lot with a little, you know, and it's so minimal, but it says much about life, and you can tell he's got a great sense of humor, and that always really spoke to me growing up. And then I worked at Coachella in 2008. I worked there for like 5 years, from 2008 to 2011, and that was like, I think I was like 20. It was the first time I ever saw like huge installations, and I was just like blown away. And then they had this trash campaign where artists painted these recycle bins, and I was like, I want to do that. Like, I really want to paint big, weird things. So this Coachella art had like a huge impact on me. And I just wanted to give you like a timeline of things, events. I studied graphic design at Cal State LA and got a bachelor's in graphic design. And I just want to say, like, mind you, I graduated from high school in 2005. So I had no idea what I was doing for a really long time. Like, it took me a long time to get to a bachelor's degree. You know, I dropped out of community college many times, and I failed the same math class like five times. So, you can do it, you guys. Perseverance. And then in 2014, I did my first mural, which was at Cal State LA for like a final project kind of deal. And then after college, I got a job at a little skateboard company in Chino Hills called Yoker, and I was a full-time graphic designer for 2.5 years, which was cool. But at the same time, I was also trying to do freelance stuff like album art and posters and merch for friends' bands. And then that kind of led me to festival installations. So I started trying my hand at that and applying for different festivals. This was at Music Tastes Good Music Festival in Long Beach in 2016. It's like the lyric box installation, so like the artists from the festival, I just put their lyrics on each side of this 3-dimensional box that was about 12 feet by 12 feet. And then I ended up doing this festival every year for the next 3 years. This was 2017. I worked with the Pinata Design Studio to make these come alive. I designed them, and then we taped them and paper mache them, you know, the way you do a pinata, and made them as light as possible and painted them. And it's like peace, love, music. Peace, love, music. Peace, love, music. But it's kind of a play on Eagles of Death Metal, Peace, Love, and Death Metal. It's an album that's pretty good. You guys should listen. And then this was the next year at Music Tastes Good in 2018. And my friend David and I made I went on Facebook and we like had a bunch of people's old guitars. We were like, do you have a broken guitar? Give it to us. And we kind of like molded it into this double-sided sculpture, which was cool. Also, I drank a lot at the time. And if you look close, there's a little door here. And inside, you can open this doggy door, go inside, and there's a cooler filled with beer. Yeah. I'm a genius. Because, like, you can't just bring it in the festival, you know what I mean? You gotta, we had it there. It was planted. Anyways. And then this is Desert Days 2018. I love this sculpture, or installation. It's just like two-dimensional. It kind of just looks like a piece of paper coming out of the sand, but that was really fun. And Desert Days is like a pretty amazing music festival, so I was really happy to be a part of that. And I ended up doing installations for them quite a few times. And then back to the timeline. Here we go. So festival installations. I quit the skateboard job 9 to 5. Did a lot of graphic design. I also had to work for a weed delivery company for a little bit to like pay the rent. So it was like a struggle, you know. But I was doing what I loved and it was cool. And then 2019, more and more murals started popping up and I got to do more projects. And then 2020 happened and there was a pandemic, you guys. Did you?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if you heard. So I was like, what am I gonna do? So I was like, I have a lot of time, so how about maybe some stop motion? And I started playing around with clay, and just, it takes hours and hours to do stop motion. But I had a lot of time, so I just did a lot of weird stuff. This is one of the things that I did. It's fine. And then, this is a music video that I got to do for my friend's band, All Things Blue. I'm just going to show you about a minute of it. But this was really fun, and this took about, it probably took like 50 hours, 60 hours. It took a long time, but we had time, you know. So I'll just show you a little bit of this. He wakes up early in the morning. Sun's still sleeping. She stands beside him, hasn't eaten. It's not the season. He never died. He never died. In the darkest bright, she waits to watch with blurry eyes. And the sun begins to rise. A gun were you someone's baby? You're valuable in the world. Safety. Oh, the God did you give a fighting to suffer in the. All right, that's enough of that. Yeah, it was fun, and it's like stop motion is really simple. It just takes a lot of time. There's a lot of pictures, so and a lot of storage on your computer. So timeline, back to it. 2021, Katbing gets sober. I have to include this. Yeah, thanks. I have to include it because this is a huge moment for me as an artist. It was someone who thought that they could only kind of create as one of those tragic alcoholic figures. And I figured out that I shouldn't do that anymore, and I had that moment, and this is me drinking water. So it really changed everything as far as like how I work. It transformed me how I work. I was able to like have big ideas and actually follow through with them. It was very transformative for me to do that. So it's been about like 4 years alcohol free, which is which is really cool and kind of a miracle. I drank a lot. I mean, I had a cooler, like a trap door for my beer. That's how much I drank. I drank so much. I had some great times, but like it was not cool, guys. Anyways, and then 2022, more freelance graphic design. That's kind of like a through line through everything. I'm always kind of doing freelance graphic design, because there's always, restaurants need menus and albums need covers, and so I'll work with anybody on that. It's a good way to pay the bills, and it's also pretty fun. But I also did a lot of murals in the past few years, and I'll show you some of those. This one's in Long Beach in 2021 at like a creative office space in Long Beach. This is a car wash in Silver Lake. I got to do, it took about, I think it was like about a 2-month project on and off. We were doing it while the car wash was operating. It's like a self-service car wash, so we had to like block off certain, they were so, they're like very frugal, so they were like, we're not gonna shut it down for you to clean it. So we had to kind of like, weave in and out. It was fun though. It was, this was one of the like biggest projects I had done at the time. And he let me do whatever I wanted, really, which was cool. We love it when we get freedom in art. It's fun. And then this is in the Arts District in Los Angeles in 2021. I did this one with one assistant, a scissor lift in about 2.5 weeks. And I was thinking about it, it's crazy because today I could do this in about a week by myself with a scissor lift. But it's just crazy, like you just get faster and faster as you do the same thing over and over again. And that's neat, So that's cool. It's a restaurant called De La Nonna Pizza Place. Really, really good pizza. You should eat it. And then this is Beverly Center. This is like a collaboration project with Beverly Center and Paint the City Peaceful for Pride Month in 2022. I think like you can kind of see like I'm figuring out a style more too, like getting the figures intertwining and stuff, and like I think like these past years have been more like just figuring out how to make things fit in walls and be interesting, and using the colors, these colors as kind of primary color palette. And then this one's in Louisville, Kentucky, again for Tubuck Invitational the year before the other one that I showed you. It's on a place called Trellis Brewery, and this was a really fun one because creative freedom again. Like, who would let you paint like a weird polka dotted banana, and stuff? They're like, go for it, and it was awesome. So I got to really like let it all out, like just do whatever, which was really fun. I've also gotten to paint a couple elementary schools. This is one of them. They're handball courts, which was really fun. The kids helped out a little bit, parents and teachers, and I got to do, I think there's 4 walls, and then some basketball hoop backboards, just like here at this place, which is cool. And also, this is a fun fact. In binary code, this means Lorne is awesome. The principal's idea. That's good. That's a lot of zeros and ones. But I did it. And then I got to paint some lifeguard towers in Santa Monica in 2023 for Pride Month. One of them is still there. It's on Ginger Rogers Beach. I think it's towers 15 and 16 or 17. Will Rogers Beach, but it's also known as Ginger Rogers Beach because it was like the gay beach throughout history, like the 60s. Yeah, so this was really fun to do. And then I'm just going to show you what's next. So next month I'm going to go to Hawaii and paint this is a high school in Honolulu. And yeah, I'm going to try something a little different with some shadows and make it look a little, give it some illusion, which I'm super excited about to try my hand at. I've been kind of messing around with studio paintings doing this. So I'm excited that's in a couple weeks, so that should be fun. And then studio art. I share a studio with my best friend David Howler, and we have a studio in Echo Park. It's a great spot. We have art shows there, and I've been working on a lot of studio art because I haven't done a lot of murals this year actually. So I've been doing a lot of paintings, small paintings, which has been good because I've gotten to like mess with small scale stuff, and things that can potentially go into bigger projects. So these are some of the works that I've been doing. Most of these are, well, everything that I use is recycled. Like I'll use either something that's I've already painted on, or I'll go to Goodwill and like find an old canvas and paint on it. And I find some really good things. This one is a tabletop, like one of those IKEA tabletops. I found it on the street. And then, yeah, I've been messing with flower stuff and words, and I don't know, I'm just having fun. Sometimes I just don't have any ideas, and I'm like, just like go stream of consciousness with it and just do something, you know? Because I just need to like have a brush in the hand and work the muscle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then here's a time lapse. This is kind of a play on like The Dance by Matisse, and I think it's fun. It's a very profound message. Just wait. What do you think it's gonna say? So these prints are for sale on the back. Cool. PowerPoint's so cool. That was so easy to just drop it right in, you know? And then I've been working a lot with resin, which my studio partner / BFF David Howler showed me how to use. It's where you pour this goopy stuff on your painting, on your art, and it gives it this like glassy look, and it just makes things look like $1 million, and it's awesome. Here's pouring resin on this one, and this was just like a little crappy canvas from Goodwill. It's a piece of wood, basically, and I'm having a lot of fun with this. And then you just blowtorch it to get the bubbles out, and then you let it sit for about 24 hours, and then let it cure for another 24. It's been fun to do this. Here's another one that I did with resin from Goodwill. There's a tag from Goodwill. It was $11. And I don't know, I thought you guys might appreciate this. That's fun. Should we listen to it again? Yeah. We have time. How much time do we have?
Perfect.
Okay. Alright. Okay. And in November I'm planning to maybe have a solo show in Echo Park. Katbing's art show. So I've just put all this art that I've been working on in one place, and you can stay tuned and see more info on that if you follow these TikToks or Facebooks or Instagram stuff, or go to katbing.com. And that's it. Thank you. I love you.
Stay up there with the microphone and let people answer or ask questions.
I see a question in the back with the green.
Yeah, the one that's gonna be in Hawaii, is that a flat wall? That
Yeah.
you made look like
Yeah, it's just like an illusion. I'm gonna make the shadows make it look like you're looking into.
it looks like it's recessed.
Yeah, and I like that when murals do that. When it's like you don't know what you're seeing. Yes.
Second question, the torch goes immediately after the pour or after the first 24 hours?
Right after the pour. So you pour it on, and then there's all these bubbles, and right away you want to torch them before it dries.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
You can report back next week.
Good questions.
Worked out great.
You have a question?
Yes, I did. Car wash. Did you have to do a whole different kind of paint there?
Great question. I use regular house paint, what I always use, and then I put a clear coat of like weatherproofer on top of it, like a clear coat, and it made it last pretty well. But a car wash is tough. So, yeah, like there were definitely a lot of green paints, and there's a lot of mold. You know what I mean? That's why I think a lot of them have tile in car washes, which makes maybe more sense. But the guy wanted smart, so. But like, it held up okay with weatherproofing. So if you ever do it, talk to me. Weatherproofer. Yes. Good. Yes.
I was very impressed with this whole project in Paris. I mean, just the logistics of it all. Because it was so tall and the rain stories happening up in that the height. That was a big challenge. I mean, how long did that take to come to an end to that? It sounded like planning.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was a lot. It was like, I think there were like 7 months of the whole process. Like before I even met the other artists, it had been like 4 months of designing and going back and forth with the city of LA. And then I met the artist on Zoom. There were a lot of like votes and stuff, like where people had from the cities needed to like approve things. So there was so much back and forth, a lot of emails, a lot of like Zoom, and yeah, it was about probably like 7 months. And then when we got there, actually, we were supposed to use like one of those, like a boom lift, where you go in the air with an articulating arm, and you're like on top of it, this machine. But the city streets in Paris were, in that location, were too weak to like hold that weight. So we had to get scaffolding put on. So when we got there, they were putting scaffolding up, and we had to wait like a week before we could start. So like all the way till the end, there were challenges, but we had assistants on it too, so that helped a lot. So we had a lot of hands to kind of help with the physical painting and stuff. And but yeah, that was like the most preparation I've ever done for any project.
And then how do you actually get finance for that? This sounds like a long process, a year's work, so to speak. Something
Yeah.
they've been financing.
Yeah.
Paris.
Yeah, so for financing, yeah, the city of Paris funded it, and LA, they kind of split the bill. And then the organization Hypermer, they're the ones that kind of organized everything and took the funding, paid their assistants and their staff, and then paid us also. So it was when I had to come up with a budget. I had to go to the budget meeting in LA, and I had to make a presentation on like what we were gonna do. And I think the budget was for me, and I think for the editor of the documentary and my sister, the director of the documentary, the total was like 40,000.
Wow.
And that's for travel and them making money and me. I mean, but when you think back, it's actually not like a ton. Do you know what I mean? So
you had a lot of good French food there then.
yeah, we had a lot of French food, but we had accommodation, and I mean it was a pretty amazing experience. but this is cities, you know, this is like, you know, we're cheap. I wonder how much Keckley got, you know what I mean? I wonder that. But I think that it was more like we were all just really excited to do the thing, you know?
Sure.
Yeah. But that's a really good question, because the funding stuff is something I always wonder about, and I didn't really get it for a long time, you know?
That's good advertising.
It is good advertising. Yes, it is. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for the basketball court. When I saw that, it blew me away. And I'm afraid to step on it. Because, you know, I mean, it's like, this is a work of art, but I don't.
I wish everybody was.
I just can't thank you enough for it. It just
Thanks.
totally transformed that whole space. It's
Thank you.
really wonderful. And well, maybe there are two questions, maybe there are one. Number one is, everything that I've seen, you know, it's just so joyful.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, number one, where you get your joy? Where do you get your joy from? And then how, I mean, every artist that I've known, I'm not an artist, but everybody that I've heard of said, there comes a point where you gotta crunch it out, you gotta discipline yourself. So how do you keep your joy going? You know, like great artists, they get up every morning at 6, and if they're gonna write, they're gonna write for 4 hours, whether something comes or not.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, could
Yeah.
you say, number one, where do you get your joy, and how do you work it out?
Yeah, I think just a lot of, I don't know, honestly, I think like being not drinking anymore is a really big factor. And like being around other people who are sober and just being like awake before noon. So, and I think living in here in California is a huge source for me. Like, I grew up here, but I'm still like in awe, kind of.
And thanks for giving a plug to the San Gabriel Valley. I grew up in the
Yeah.
and everybody over here thinks there's nothing going on in the San Gabriel
There's
Valley.
one, Bill and Ted. Yeah. I always try to plug SGB, because that's where it's at. But yeah, the weather, you know, I think like weather affects me greatly, so I like really, blue skies and palm trees are like heaven to me, you know? So working on this basketball court was actually like really fun, and it's funny because I was actually drinking while I was working on it.
Wow.
It was Modelo's, and my friends were like, "We gotta go home now." Like your lines are getting a little squiggly.
Well, I'll just tell you that makes you part of a proud tradition here, because when this church was first built, like 75 years ago, it was just a bunch of German Lutheran men up on the roof throwing down beers while the women So
I added to the tradition.
you
You're so
did.
right. Yes.
I did have a question about I think it was in Louisville. It was rounded, right, in the windows, and it's rounded. So how do you factor in the dimensionality of that, right? On your when you're sketching it out in Photoshop or whatever you're doing, like how do you account for that?
Are you talking about this one?
It's rounded. The building is round.
So I think it was a pano, like a wide angle photo.
Oh, it's just a shot. So the building is not round.
Yeah, and I was thinking that when I put it in there, I was like,
Oh.
does it look round? I mean,
Yeah, the
it
building
does.
should be better round.
Yeah.
I think we should talk about that.
It just looks cool like this, but it's all flat.
Okay.
But if it were rounded, then I would definitely, adjust for that, appropriately,
Okay.
for sure. But I'm glad we're looking at this again, because it's so good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and then you had a question about joy and
And discipline. How
Discipline.
do you, if you use the word work, how do you work?
yeah, I think like right now with the painting in the studio, just like going and showing up every day is what I do, and I take my dog and I just plan to be there all day. And sometimes I don't know what I'm gonna do, and I just start messing around until I figure something out and feel kind of good about it.
Great.
So that's me
Yeah.
lately, but
Yeah.
it changes all the time,
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions?
Thanks for having me.
I just want to say, you're awesome.
You're awesome.
This is so
Awesome.
Fantastic. And 50 minutes. 50 minutes. Yeah, you were perfect. It was fantastic. Thank you all so much for being here. As you know, those who've been here before, we have some sparkling water, we have some sparkling wine, we have lots of charcuterie and sweets, and we want you to eat more than you normally would or should, and then we'll send you home with some goodies. The next time we gather, probably people will be back from vacation, it'll be in September, on September 20th, and we're having a couple come. They have come to Chandelier a few times, Doug Funkhauser and Lisa Salou. They have been married for a very long time. They've both been artists for a very long time. They now have a very high-end fabric company and do design things, but they've both been visual artists, and we love that sound. That's the sound for Heather to stop talking and then we'll go. They're going to be here talking about creative collaboration over a lifetime, whether it's with a friend you share a studio with, or in their case in a marriage, and how, and my husband and I share this, where you're just pouring into each other because you trust each other's judgment, even if you're not working in the same discipline, and going back and forth, and how that informs things. So that'll be really fun. And Klaus, you were interested in how artists support themselves. Sometimes they get big grants, and sometimes they sell T-shirts. And so we have T-shirts, and I already have a Katbing T-shirt that I wear to the YMCA every week, so I'm representing. And she has a couple of the prints, so if any of you have dogs who have stools, you might want to get one of those to give someone. Thank you so much for coming, and somebody pour my Prosecco. Okay.
Yeah, I wrote my